The War of 1812 was fought over hemp because England cut off our supplies of hemp coming from Russia. It was actually easier to get hemp from Russia to the east coast of the United States than from Kentucky before the Erie Canal was built. So it's this huge thing. Like, I'm kind of reading about all that, and hemp seed is incredibly nutritious. And I'm just like, wow, this is amazing. It's really crazy. So I decided I would start my own business based solely on selling hemp product. I think cannabis could change the world. I think it could change the way people think and reestablish a new relationship between people and themselves, deal with each other, and people on the planet they live on.
Hey, y'all. Welcome back to Through with a Splash of Tea, a podcast where conversation is key. I'm your host, Cass, and let's get right into it. So today we have a very special guest. Today we have Jon Napoli. Jon is the co-owner and founder of Quincy's first recreational cannabis store, Quincy Cannabis. But it goes deeper than that, guys, way deeper. He also owns Hempest Dispensary, which has 2 locations, and Van Garden. But we're going to deep dive into all things cannabis today via Jon, because he has so much knowledge. So I'm very, very excited to have this conversation. But before, I have to say thank you for being here today.
Thank you for having me. It's very exciting to be here.
You have so many things you're juggling, and you're a dad, and and your husband. We're going to discuss everything. Okay.
Life throws a lot at you.
And you've been able to roll with the punches, it seems. Okay, so first things first, we're going to start at the very beginning. I like all of my guests to start by giving me a little bit about their background, because I do feel like that pours into who you are today.
Yeah, nothing too crazy in my background, I hope. I was born in Concord, Massachusetts, grew up around here, went to college in Vermont, lived in Colorado for a year, and then I went to the University of Vermont. I like skiing, being outside, ice climbing, rock climbing, that kind of thing. And it ended up being a great place to be. I went there from 90 to 94. It was Burlington, Vermont was a trendy kind of town. And as far as like cannabis things, Vermont's a very green state. And so there was a lot of cannabis movement and hemp movement back. That's when it all kind of started. It was back in the early 90s in states and places like Burlington, Vermont. So I was kind of lucky to be there. And then I wound up in Telluride, Colorado, just as like a ski instructor for a year. And, while I was in Vermont and Colorado, that's when we started seeing hemp products come back into the marketplace. And I was intrigued by it. I was a cannabis consumer and it was like, oh my God, I can get a wallet made out of hemp. A wallet made out of hemp. Yes. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Oh my
so,
gosh,
the clothing I'm wearing. So all these products started to come out, and I thought that this would be a avenue towards legalization if you could show that there was economic demand for the plant, and as well as just increasing awareness around it. Like I was like, oh, I'm blown away. Like, oh, there's hemp, here's cannabis or marijuana, and I didn't really realize that marijuana was the flower of the female hemp plant, and it's really the same thing. And when you dive deep into the history of hemp and humans, like you realize the word canvas comes from the word cannabis. It was literally one of the first crops that we grew when we learned how to grow things. And it was the most important and valuable crop from then up until the Industrial Revolution, the invention of the cotton gin and the steam engine. So, because before that, all the sails were made, like Columbus's sails were all made out of hemp, all the ropes, everything was made out of hemp. It was hugely important. It's completely forgotten from history. The War of 1812 was fought over hemp, because England cut off our supplies of hemp coming from Russia. It was actually easier to get hemp from Russia to the east coast of the United States than from Kentucky before the Erie Canal was built. So it's this huge thing. Like, I'm kind of reading about all that, and hemp seed is incredibly nutritious. And I'm just like, wow, this is amazing. It's really crazy. So I decided I would start my own business based solely on selling hemp products. And I started the Hempest in 1995. And hempest.com is the biggest selection of hemp gear in the world. And, I started other stores and different locations called the Hempest, and we developed our own line of clothing and made our own gear and everything, and just really pushed towards normalizing the plant here in Massachusetts and getting the questions up onto that ballot because, in 1995, there's probably like 25% of the people would vote yes on that. But by the time 2016 came along, we got 53% of the vote, and yay, we're a legal state now. And so that's how the Hempest started, and that's kind of how I got into it, was basically from being in Vermont and Colorado and places where it was kind of happening, and it infected me. And then I brought it back to Boston. Yeah.
Okay, so being in Vermont and Colorado, that ignited your passion for hemp, but that's fine. Well, okay, so that ignited your true passion for hemp. It's hemp that made you discover and like really dive into cannabis.
No, actually, I was definitely consuming cannabis before,
Right.
and then I was just started getting more intrigued about the plant and started reading more and educating myself more, and then got into the whole hemp side. But with the cannabis, like I really wanted to legalize it for the industrial, like using it as a natural resource. But also, there's obviously a million reasons why you get people out of jail, and this the whole injustice of it all. But also changing people's consciousness, like change the way people think. If you could get people, and I was always advocate for mushrooms too, and just getting people away from alcohol, pharmaceuticals, and bring them on to things like mushrooms or cannabis was something I thought was important as far as raising self-awareness, raising awareness in general, and helping humanity evolve to a point where we're not constantly, killing each other or destroying our own planet.
Maybe, maybe we can try a new avenue one day.
So that was the thought anyway. So it's an ongoing experiment.
Okay. All right. So in college, you were working through this, like you found out this was your passion. You started the Hempest, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then how did that flourish? What happened after the Hempest?
So the Hempest, I quickly moved to Newbury Street in Boston. So we had a very prominent location there, right in the center of town. We opened one up in Burlington, Vermont, where I used to go to school. And then
Newbury in the 90s?
Newbury Street.
Yes.
Yeah, we were on Newbury Street in the 90s. We were there until now on Newbury Street. So really, Newbury Street has a lot of turnover, most business. So we were a long-standing tenant of Newbury Street, and we moved Burlington, Vermont. We opened one in Northampton, Mass, where we have the dispensary now. We converted the store into a dispensary. We have one in Harvard Square. And I would have converted the one on Newbury Street in Harvard Square, but you have to have landlord permission. There's a lot of hoops to jump through, so it was difficult. Northampton was one of the towns that was like, come on in, we want you here. So, and Northampton, interestingly enough, is the HAMP. That name literally translates from Northampton is North Hemp Town. Hump is the Danish for hemp. And when the Vikings, took over England in the year, 1000, they left a lot of their words. So Hampshire, that's New Hampshire means new hemp state. So it's like it's interwoven into our history in such that there's so
it's kind of like it's right in front of our face, but like we're just acting like it's not there. Like
100%. You're exactly right. That's
my gosh.
Yeah. It's right in front of our faces.
So, okay, two things. We're going to rewind a little bit.
Okay.
How did it feel to hear, well, dang, I don't want to spill it. All right, I'm going to spill it. Your wife was also part of,
she was a huge part of
a huge part.
Big part.
A massive part of the legalization of cannabis in 2016.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to know, how did it feel to receive or to hear for the first time, like, okay, we won, like it's legal now? Like
that was monumental. Yeah. 2016 was such a crazy year. But we worked really hard on bringing the marijuana policy project into Massachusetts to convince them that Massachusetts was ready. Because they were kind of on the West Coast and dealing with like, no, come over here. And they met Kim and were impressed by her and wanted her to be on the campaign. So she was, so we were heavily invested into it now and donating money, having fundraisers. And it was close. And we knew it was going to be close. So it was a nail biter. And we were out at the party for the election, and Hillary Clinton's losing to Donald Trump. So you also have that happening at the same time. So luckily we won that, or else, a really bad night for a lot of people. But, we won that. And I think maybe 4 states, because Maine, they passed it. It was very close there. And then Arizona, maybe another state, I forget what exactly. But it was a big night for cannabis. Huge. It was like a water spot. That was really, 2016 was the year, we really became obvious that this was going to happen now. And so it was like a very cathartic, huge weight off the chest. We got to do it. Because if we failed, according to Massachusetts law, we wouldn't have been able to put that back on the ballot for 8 years. And so it would have been like last year would have been when we finally, so we would have missed the whole opportunity. And, Massachusetts has made billions and billions of dollars off this, not just tax revenue, but just all the ancillary activity of the plumbers or lawyers and all the tradespeople needed to build out these dispensaries and these grows. So it's been a huge win for Massachusetts.
Why, in one sentence, no pressure, why is cannabis important?
I think cannabis could change the world. I think it could change the way people think, and reestablish a new relationship between people and themselves, people with each other, and people on the planet they live on.
Why do you say that?
I think we're disconnected right now. I think that an evolutionary step needs to be taken, and something needs to prompt that. And that's why I advocate for cannabis and mushrooms, because I think that those substances can so I'd really think that the most important thing for people to be able to do is to stop falsely identifying with their past conditioning. And cannabis is one of those things that will help you look at your past conditioning, like how you were brought up and the things that you were taught, and maybe look at it in a little different light and see it in a new way and free yourself from that. Because we're all in these little boxes that we're not supposed to be in, right? We were taught to be this, that, or the other thing, but we're neither this, that, or the other thing. We're infinite beings. We're humans. And all this us versus them stuff that we encounter is going to continue until we evolve to the point where we realize there is no them. It's only us. And until then, I just think that it's just going to be, monkeys throwing feces at each other, except that, it's tactical bombs and nuclear. But so I just think that the evolutionary step is, or maybe it's not a step, it's just, whatever, just a process. We need to free ourselves from that past conditioning in order to move beyond the hate, the division, and the fear.
Jon, that was so good.
I'm trying my best.
Oh my God.
Probably talking too much.
No, that's good.
So that, this is the reason why I'm in this space. That's why this space is so important to me. I mean, you see it all around us now. It's like we're in one of those moments where it's like, things could go one way or the other right now, and I think we all need to fight as hard as possible to make it go the right way. To go forward, go up, not down.
Mm-hmm. And for a lot of us, I think for a lot of us, that's opening our minds to different ideas, and specifically ideas that other people have, and not weaponizing them for them just because we don't agree with it, or just because we don't,
Right. Yeah. If you don't agree with it, you can talk it through with that person.
Yeah. Right.
Right.
To get crazy.
You don't have to be afraid of what I think. And I think a lot of people are like, oh, he's radical.
Yeah.
But it's just a conversation. And I don't think because somebody, and I think that's a lot of it has to do with the past condition. The people are affected by all the propaganda they consume and you just regurgitate that. And if I consume or have been taught this, it's going to come into conflict with what this person over here has been taught to believe. And so then there's going to be conflict. And if I'm not open to listening, then I'm going to always be in conflict. And the other thing is, our unawareness, I think we tend to project our unknown selves onto others, our rejected selves, our shadow selves onto others. And we say, oh, this person that's the enemy over there. And then there's no connection that is possible. Yes,
because you've already painted them in the way that you've decided to see them, but you don't even know, that could be your best friend, but you have no idea. Yeah, we do that.
Right. That's where the self-awareness thing, I think, is where we need to be. We need to consciously try to raise our own self-awareness individually. And then as individuals, we'll affect people around us. And that's how it happens.
Okay. So how do you, I think it's fair to say that cannabis doesn't have actually a lot of things has changed now, but maybe for older people. It doesn't have the best connotation when it comes to like, whatever, the world, whatever.
But today we were just talking about this at the store. The baby boomers went from like a 1% consumption rate are now at like a 10% consumption rate, and a significant are consuming every day. So
these are people that didn't even want us to smoke.
Right. But maybe they used to back a long time ago, dropped it, and now are coming back to it while it's illegal. So that is the fastest growing demographic in cannabis because, they were traditionally the most anti.
Yes.
And it still is. Like there's a big divide between older and younger when you try to go get the votes in a town to have a store there or whatever. Mm-hmm. Young people generally are very much for it and older people are, So, but but it's so the baby boomers are, pain relief, sleep relief. It's a great.
Okay, so I can't give them too much grief for it because there wasn't as much knowledge in regards to cannabis as there is now.
Well, yeah. And plus it was a total anti-cannabis propaganda. We call it marijuana. They call it marijuana for a reason. It's to scare people. You couldn't have made hemp and cannabis illegal under the name of hemp or cannabis. It was made illegal like under the name marijuana in 1937, and people didn't know what was being made illegal. It was this new narcotic that Mexicans are bringing into the country. Negroes are raping white women. That was that was the campaign against cannabis, but they called it marijuana. So, and if you're a baby boomer, you're kind of close to that campaign to reefer madness, and you ingested all that propaganda as a youth, and maybe that stuck with you. But then it became legal. So that was a big shift for a lot of people's heads who have been like told it was terrible. And well, you know what? Everyone's talking about it, and why don't I try it?
Yeah. And then you try it, and you're like, oh, this is actually
pretty damn good. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like
brownie wasn't too bad. Let me get another one.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay. So we're gonna get out of the passion of it for a minute, and we're gonna go to the business side of it.
Okay.
So I know that it's not easy opening up a dispensary in Massachusetts. Like I know
the cannabis business is extremely difficult. It's
How are you?
Well, so navigating it, if you're in the right, it's so Vanguard, the grow is like it's a constant struggle.
Wait, pause you real quick. A grow just literally grows cannabis.
So you can. There's basically three license types: is the growing or the cultivation, manufacturing, and the retail, which is like a delivery as well. Okay. So you can have all three or all four. But Vanguard is a cultivation and manufacturer only. And at the beginning, and after we legalized, obviously there wasn't enough supply in Massachusetts to meet demand. So the prices was sky high, $4,000 a pound. Everyone thinks, oh, I'm getting into that. Everyone thinks that at the same time. All of a sudden, or takes a little bit of time because it's very hard to jump through all the hoops required to get through local approval, municipal approval, into state approval, raise money, and the grow, that costs a lot of money to build up. And so once everybody gets to that point, everybody builds out kind of at the same time, starts growing at the same time, and then you have a oversupply issue. Once the supply hits the demand, at that inflection point, the price comes through the floor. So $4,000 a pound. Now we're $1,000 to $1,200 a pound, or I can buy maybe even cheaper if I buy a lot of bulk and pay in advance, that type of workout deals. So at the grow and the manufacturer, it was constant struggle. We could barely pay our bills, but we do, luckily. But there's plenty of people in Massachusetts have gone out of business. And that's the case with almost all the cultivation manufacturer, where it's going to be hard because the margins are so thin and we're in an oversupply. Now, so in a retail store, you can take advantage of that low price, and the consumers obviously love it. Like, you used to pay $300 for an ounce, yet you can get for $100 now. So the retail stores could take advantage of that low price and continue to operate it. The problem has been oversaturation in different retail markets. So in Northampton, where I have the Hempest, 12 stores open. Northampton doesn't need 12 cannabis stores. So some of those are going to fall off. And then that happens. And, different towns have different, like, we don't want it. Like Quincy, the mayor was like, we absolutely don't want it. So it took a while for us to break into that. And there still are plenty of no towns. Framingham, the town we're in, is slightly probably oversaturated. There's probably at least 4 here, and they're probably kind of all competing with each other. So it's about the market kind of adjusting and straightening out. So, we legalized in 2016. Prices were very high. The first stores opened, huge lines. Everyone's doing great. Investors, blah, blah, blah. Now investors think it's the worst investment you could ever make. And people are underwater. But the market is straightening itself out, where the supply and the demand are coming into where it should be. The price is stabilizing, and the stores that can survive are going to hopefully hold their own and stay in business. The delivery companies are starting to become profitable. We operate under a lot of regulations that kind of, can hinder you. So it's difficult.
It's not easy. Why not say F it and just go to the West Coast where I know things are
No. It's difficult everywhere. I mean, so you could have the strategy of trying to go into those new states as they legalize and get into a new market. And I think that's what a lot of people do. But all the states, Colorado, California, everybody's totally oversaturated at this point. It's they have to pull back. The whole country of Canada, this is federally illegal in Canada, and they have a huge oversupply issue. And that's why the price comes down. I mean, at the end of the day, cannabis is as easy to grow as a lot of other vegetables. And, what do tomatoes cost? What does corn cost? Yeah. Tobacco, a pack of cigarettes weighs about an ounce. And what does that cost? $10, $15, something. So once it becomes federally legal, you're looking at a huge price drop, and and this is why it remains federally illegal. Now, who wants it to be illegal? When you think of different industries that have competed with this, the pharmaceutical industry doesn't want it to be available widespread as a cheap medicine that people can just get whenever. They want to have patentable medicines that they control. So I think there's a lot of players out there that obviously have a ton of money and a ton of influence, and it's pretty easy to buy politicians, and they don't want it to be federally legal. And it's just a travesty, really, at this point, when you have, over half the states legal? Yeah. And then how many are medically legal? It's a huge majority, 90%. And federally, it doesn't recognize any medical value. It's still Schedule 1. Cocaine is Schedule 2. Fentanyl's probably Schedule 2.
Hold on, bro. We could from 0 to 100.
It's just like the hypocrisy is. I mean, tobacco and alcohol; those kill more people. Yeah, hundreds of thousands of people die a year.
It's the alcohol that it's always shook me a little bit, because what alcohol does to a human, weed is never gonna. Weed is not going to do that to a human. The rage that alcohol can exude, the way, what alcohol can do to you. And this is, hey, I'm not staying away from any drinks. I'll take a drink, but I've always noticed, that was one that I was this one's a little bit much. Who you become while you're drinking. I'm this is okay, but the weed game, you guys are just not with that always threw me. As a kid.
It's a pretty big shift. If you could take a society that's really just kind of an alcoholic society and switch them over to cannabis and maybe mushrooms too, I think that's a dramatic shift. Yeah. And that's what I would like
to see.
And that's what we want. I think a lot of people want to see happen.
Even if that means oversaturation in the market like Canada?
Well, I mean, I think the market, I believe in the free market. Mm-hmm. Let the market straighten itself out. At the end of the day, that's what happens in every other industry. You have to let the market just straighten itself out. But yes, if it drives prices down, that's a good thing for the consumers. Yeah. That's where it should be. And the market will figure it out, and it'll be normalized. And then, hopefully hemp becomes a much bigger commodity. Cannabis has really taken off. I kind of thought it would be the other way in a little bit because hemp is non-controversial. Yeah.
Yeah.
And in fact, hemp is legal federally, right? So that has progressed federally on the hemp side, but you haven't really seen hemp take off as an industry in the United States. You don't see a lot of product, but I think all paper should be made out of hemp. It's much better than wood pulp paper, and you don't need to cut down trees or use chlorine bleach. There's plastics and ethanol, methanol. You can replace fossil fuels, replace wood. plastic. It's just there's so many things we could be doing with even hemp seed. Like is better than soy. Is like more nutritionally complete, full protein and amino acids, essential fatty acids. It's an incredible food product that could be made into anything, and we're not utilizing it. It's kind of like, we're not. I don't know.
You could really tap into this.
Yeah, it could be a great market for the whole country. It's a good product for farmers to be growing, and a great product for like vegetarians and people. Just that is great linen. Like hemp is a great linen. It's a beautiful cloth
and lotions.
And the hemp seed oil is so rich in those essential fatty acids, amino acids, and like it's really good for you. The soaps and like so like a lot of what I've tried to advocate is consciously voting with your dollar. Like that's the vote that really matters, is how you spend your money, because that affects the reality that, you know, if I buy this, they're going to produce more of that, and that's what turns the world around. And so, you know, I always advocate, instead of just unconsciously, try to buy the things that you want to see make change in the world. And that's why I had the Hempest van and I converted it. It was a diesel. I was always like almost saying all this. I'm such a hypocrite because I'm still going to the gas station and putting fossil fuels in my car. And like, that's the number one problem. We got to get off fossil fuels. And so I was like, God, what am I going to do? So I got the van, the diesel van, and Rudolph Diesel, when he made the diesel engine and invented it, he had it running on peanut oil. So we had it running on hemp seed oil. I can run on any vegetable oil. So it was kind of one of those things. So now I have a van, at least, that I can run on American. Like we used to go to restaurants and get the French fry oil and put it in the van and run it that way. So yeah, I was always like really trying to be conscious of how I spend. Put your money into good people, good places, good products, like organic, natural, local, that kind of thing, instead of just ExxonMobil or Chevron or the worst things in the world. So that has also been kind of the message that I've wanted to bring along with the cannabis and hemp thing, and try to get people to support the hemp products more.
Is that shirt one of your shirts?
Yeah. This is one of our shirts. And
what does Occupy This mean? Oh, wait, no. For those listening, Jon is wearing a super cool shirt that's black and it says Occupy This in white, and it has the earth under it. Yeah,
this is what the spores from outer space say when they see a plant that could sustain life. No. It's got the 99 on the back.
Ooh.
So if you remember the Occupy Wall Street whole thing back in 2012, Obama, these are the shirts that we made back then. It was kind of just like, well, yeah, you occupy Wall Street. Yeah, hell yeah. You got to occupy everywhere. Doesn't matter where you are. Occupy it. Spread awareness, spread consciousness, spread positive change. And so, take the place that you're at, occupy it. Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
It's good.
We made a lot of T-shirts back in the day.
Do you enjoy selling apparel more, or do you enjoy selling cannabis and educating people on cannabis more?
That's a great question. Because right now so at the Hempest in North End, we still do sell the apparel along with we sell the wall, everything, but we sell the cannabis. 99% of what we sell is cannabis. Okay, right? You don't sell much of the hemp. So it's always exciting to sell some of the hemp. You expect everyone to come in and buy the weed and the gummies and that's pretty standard. If someone comes in and asks me for some hemp seed or something like that, that's like, oh wow, yeah, okay. We're gonna have a talk now. Me and you. We're gonna get along. So in some ways it is. But all of it, I want people to consume all parts of this plant as much as possible.
Yes. All right, we're gonna go into family life now. Are you ready for it?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Ready for family life.
Okay, so how many kids do you have, Jon?
We have 4 kids. We have it's like 2 sets of 2. I have 2 older and 2 younger. I have 2 teenagers, 2 young teenagers, and a 7 and a 5-year-old.
How long have you been married?
Kim and I have been married since 2009, and we have been together since 2002. So a little while now.
You've been together for 23 years.
Yes. I've been together 22 years. Yeah, 22 or 23 years is like half our life. Yeah.
What's the key to finding somebody and being with them for half your life? Tell me everything.
Well, we do share a lot of the same passions. You know, I mean, cannabis is one of them.
Yeah. And she's an attorney.
She's an attorney. So I lose every argument.
As you should.
Got to learn to be patient and listen. But we share a lot of common interests. Kim's got a great zest for life. She's very passionate for a lot of things. And I think that's important. Just because, we'll go see Fish, the band Fish together. We both really like it. And a lot of guys, like my friends, will be there, but they won't be there with their wives. You gotta go see this,
Yeah.
So we could kind of relate in different ways. We have different things that we like growing up, because she's from Andover, and so she's from Massachusetts. So we kind of have this kind of the same upbringing, I guess. And so there's a lot to always talk about. Now, and then we have kids, so now it's impossible to get. Yeah, we got to stay together now for the sake of the kids.
Oh yeah, that's true. I was going to say cheaper to keep her.
Well, no, it's not cheaper to keep. We love each other. At least I love her, and she's puts up with me at least sometimes. So it's been great. Yeah.
How has being a father changed you?
In a lot of ways. I mean, I've been a father for so long. I'm probably a completely different person than I was 15 years ago.
Do you think you raised the older kids differently than the younger kids?
Well, the older kids were raised in Boston.
Okay.
It was actually, the older kids, we lived right there in Roxbury in Dudley Square, as it was in the test. Now it's called Nubian Square. They changed the name, but Dudley Square.
Oh, I didn't know that changed the name.
Yeah.
Nubian Square.
Yeah, that's what they call it now. So, but Dudley Square is what it always was historically. And Dudley Square was, that was a tough area. It's very low income, probably one of the lowest income areas in Massachusetts. We were right there on Melnia Cass, too. It's right next to Mass and Cass, where that whole thing was blowing up. And so my kids kind of saw a lot, but I had my store on Newbury Street. So we went to school in the Back Bay. So now you're going from Dudley Square to the Back Bay is like two different universes when they're only a mile and a half from each other. And then, like, I do to ride my bike and I go from one world to another world, and like one of the richest places and one of the poorest. So the kids they had this very diverse kind of upbringing in Boston in a way, because they went to school very, the Back Bay, very nice, beautiful, and not that Dudley Square isn't nice in its way, but it needs more beautification, more economic activity, and more development. Boston, what they did was they allowed developers to put all the low income property into one space type of thing. They stack poverty onto poverty over here, stack wealth upon wealth over here in different places. And so it created that whole dichotomy in Boston. So the older two kids were raised there until they were almost 10, and then they came out to the suburbs. So they have a but then the two younger ones were primarily just raised. One of them was born in Sudbury. So they were raised quite differently.
Just a smidge.
Yeah, but ultimately, they're all very happy out here, out of the city, and well adjusted.
Did you always want kids?
Yeah, I think so. I put it off for a while, but I'm definitely happy that I have them.
I definitely feel like they keep you young, which is nice.
Oh, well, you're going to lose your hair and turn gray. Well, yes, they can keep you young and engaged with the youth of the world.
Yeah, but other than that, you go gray and then you lose your hair.
There's some stress, but generally, you wouldn't change a thing. Of course, you'd love having your kids. Yeah.
What are your conversations with them, or have you even had let me not assume. Let me just ask a question. What are your conversations with them when it comes to hemp and cannabis?
The older two kids were on Newbury Street at the Hempest, like helping the whole time. So they were always knew what hemp was. They were always educated. I grew. I'm a farmer. I grow. They'd see plants. I'd have a garden. I still do. So they've always seen cannabis plants, hemp clothing, hemp everything. They use it. Like my daughter, my first daughter was not able to. She like the breastfeeding and the milk was not like working that well. So at age 6 months, they wanted her to go on formula. I was like, so I started the hemp milk, because hemp milk has a lot of the properties that breast milk does. So like those essential fatty acids. And it's one of the only things with the gamma-linoleic acid. I probably pronouncing it wrong, but like breast milk has some gamma-linoleic acid, like I don't know, GLA. So, but hemp seed has that, and so the hemp seed milk is extremely nutritious. So I would give that to my older daughter too, and like she was raised on. She's 15, and she has on her cereal. She's drinking hemp.
Yes.
Yeah, so they,
Hemp running through her veins at
yeah,
this point.
yeah, well, yeah. In fact, all the kids, because I don't buy regular milk, I only bring in the hemp milk. Yeah, and then when we make the smoothies, I put the hemp seed in there for the kids, so they all consume hemp. And the clothing, obviously, and a backpack and stuff. So they're very familiar with that, and they know that cannabis is something that you have to be 21 to. So it's pretty normalized in our house.
Yes.
There's no fear of it.
Have you ever gotten any backlash from ignorant parents? And I use ignorant in the definition of like not knowing, like not.
I really haven't. I mean, like if you saw the Hempest van, like I had a big 420 on the top, so like the helicopter, like an ambulance had, and it was all like cannabis leaves all up and down hemp. It was like energy from the Midwest, not the Mideast, or hemp, like homegrown biofuel. Just like putting out like all this all over. It's like, what are you going to say to this guy?
I know exactly what you're doing.
Like, hey, I'm wearing all, I'm just like, I'm so far out there. And even here in the suburbs, like, I thought like there may be some pushback, but like, and I'd welcome it. Like, you want to ask me about it? You want to get into, let's talk about it. Sure. I'll address any concerns you have about it, because I know what you have in your medicine cabinet. I know what you feed your kids. It's not good.
So true. Like, I know so much about this topic. Like, let's go. Like, let's enter it.
So, no, I've never, in 30 years, I've had the habit. I've really never been confronted in that way. There's been angry parents after their kid might have purchased a pipe at the store or something, who've called and they blah, blah, blah. But like, as far as like cannabis, like we're going to have a discussion about why cannabis is bad. I'm going to tell you why hemp is bad. No, I don't get that.
Okay, good. Good.
Yeah.
But also like, people should ask you questions, or people should, like, if they don't know, people should ask so they can get the knowledge that's necessary.
Yeah, don't be afraid.
Yeah, don't be afraid to approach.
Yeah, knowledge. Yeah, just say no. KNOW.
KNOW, you guys. This conversation makes, you remember Dare?
Yeah.
I feel like when I was growing up, Dare was like, everyone had the shirt, the bumper stickers.
So we used to sell the shirts too that said, dare to think for yourself.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, dare was a problem. We used to hate that.
Huge.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Luckily that went away. That was proven to be totally ineffective. Those programs were proven to do more harm than good.
Dare was in like schools.
Right.
And
it didn't keep people away from anything.
Wow. It was, what did it mean? Drugs again? What, it meant something. Dare was like something in the 90s, you guys. If you're watching this, you probably know what Dare is. And it was like a against drugs thing that like, it was huge in the early 2000s and the 90s, but it was also like annoyingly aggressive, like
responsible education.
Yeah, it was a lot. And now look at us.
It was a thing for a while.
Fair.
So more money has been spent by the federal government trying to find something wrong with cannabis than all other vegetable matter on earth combined.
That's insane.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's one of those signs of how insane we are. Like this, the whole relationship we have with this plant shows you how insane we are. This used to be the most beneficial plant that humans knew. The most versatile, beneficial, important resource on earth as far as humans were concerned. And now, in our insanity, we've made it the most illegal plant on earth.
Well, because, okay, I love my heart loves to play devil's advocate. So we know that we've done that. We've weaponized this plant that we know is so, like, can benefit us so well. We know that we've done that in order to keep the pharmaceutical companies what they are. But how much damage, well, sorry, I'm thinking out loud. If cannabis really does do all the positive things that you say it does, then it would destroy our pharmaceutical companies.
If it's legal, it will.
It will destroy pharmaceutical companies.
And I wouldn't say destroy, but these wouldn't be $100 billion Goliaths
that they are now, which they shouldn't be. And
people would have to also make the conscious decision to get off pharmaceuticals and onto natural products like cannabis. And a lot of people do. Like we're at the dispensaries, we convert a lot of people from opiates to cannabinoids. opioids to cannabinoids, and that's the progression we want to make. But it's got to become federally legal first for that sort of transformation to happen. And when you've had a industry that's been suppressed for so long, there is no infrastructure. So yeah, there's no hemp paper because there's no hemp paper factories. No hemp plastics, there's no hemp plastic factories. This was not made illegal really because of the pharmaceutical. And back in the day, the American Medical Association was one of the only people to speak against the Marijuana Tax Act back in 1937. DuPont patented the same year, in 1937, the wood pulp paper making process, which is a hugely chemically intensive process, and nylon, right? So hemp was the strongest vegetable fiber on earth. Before nylon, you had to, like, when Columbus used hemp, or all the ships, because nothing else wouldn't have worked. It was that important. So it was able, so a company like DuPont and William Randolph Hearst, his company, he's now Kimberly-Clark, they're this timber company, and then he hated Mexicans. And they were all involved in renaming it in marijuana and propaganda in William Randolph Hearst newspapers, and convincing enough people that the Marijuana Tax Act needed to be passed, and and it had to be a tax act because it's totally unconstitutional to make it illegal. And like in Massachusetts, it was actually illegal not to grow hemp back in the days of the colonies. It was considered that essential for the survival of the colonies that if you were a landowner in Massachusetts, you could pay your taxes with hemp, and you had to grow it on your land. The first American flag was made out of it. It's just the original draft of the Constitution was written on it. It's just, so that knowledge all had to be kind of just like, call it something else. And now you have.
You have to basket and twist it and turn it for so.
But that industry was never allowed to develop. So DuPont and everybody else, Monsanto, they developed all these industries over the last 100 years. They're fully developed. Whereas the hemp industry, that was never developed. So yes, this is an amazing plan, but how do you now you have to build an infrastructure to support that.
Do you think we could build the infrastructure of the hemp industry without cannabis being federally legal?
No. And in fact, you'd probably want like federal subsidies, hey, we're going to go build hemp paper. You're going to get a tax break if you go build a hemp paper factory. Because right now, I want to buy hemp paper shopping bags for the store. I can go buy wood pulp paper bags for cents, like 1 cent. And then the hemp bag costs 15 times that or something. So you need to just get it so it's economically viable, which would require federal legalizations, mass production, and like an efficient marketplace and incentives. So that's what governments should be doing instead of doing the bidding of their donors of the pharmaceutical companies and the war industry and whatever, to keep things like this illegal, to keep us from progressing forward. So the government is not for the people at this point. It's often for the transnational corporations and
that's the problem.
That is exactly the problem. We have a corrupt government. That if our government was actually doing the will of the people, it'd be a different story.
So many things would be different.
So many things would be different. That's the revolution that needs to happen within our. It's crazy where we're at, in my opinion.
Do you think we'll see that mass change in our life?
I mean, I've been pushing for it my whole adult life. Okay, yeah,
yeah.
Yeah, no, it's been happening. A lot of things. It's like some things have gotten worse, and some things have gotten better. Right. Yeah. So you're operating kind of like we're falling into more and more totalitarianism, fascism over here. But there is more freedom on the cannabis side, and maybe some other sides too. I mean, mushrooms are definitely a thing that's happening. So. Yeah, there's a lot of dissonance right now, and I think this is what happens before you get to that stage where it resolves itself and you're able to move forward. That's what I hope, because I think the other option is just a horrible one.
All right, I have a question, but it's like a personal question because I don't really know the answer. I should just Google it, but here we are. What's the difference between CBD and THC?
So there's a lot of different cannabinoids. They're both cannabinoids. THC is tetrahydrocannabinol.
What's a cannabinoid?
So there's a lot of chemicals within the cannabis plant, specifically like the female flower, the flower of the female hemp or cannabis plant. There's a lot of different chemicals that we call cannabinoids that interact when we have an endocannabinoid system within our body, which is pretty amazing. Like they don't like when you talk to doctors, they aren't taught that in medical school. But we have an endocannabinoid, we have receptors to receive the cannabinoids from the cannabis plant, and that's how it interacts with our body. So different cannabinoids will interact with different receptors, and so, but there's probably hundreds of different chemicals. I don't know exactly how many different minor cannabinoids, but definitely THC, tetrahydrocannabinol, is the main component. In hemp, it's usually CBD is more prevalent, which is cannabidiol. I'm probably pronouncing these all wrong. And then there's CBN, which is basically what THC will break down to when it ages. And CBG, I'm not going to even try to pronounce that one. But there's a lot of different cannabinoids that will have different effects. So CBD is an inflammatory, anti-inflammatory, pain relief, anxiety relief, but not psychoactive, not going to alter consciousness, but is very effective medicine. But usually, you want to have a full spectrum. The full spectrum, when you hear that terminology, is referring to having all the cannabinoids. You don't want to just take like a CBD isolate or a THC isolate. Let the plant work as it's supposed to in its totality. And so you want to take a CBD rich oil or tincture or a THC rich or a CBN rich, just something depending on where you want to be and what you want to get. Like, so, a lot of people with anxiety, I think, really benefit from CBD. A lot of people with arthritis really move from the topical.
And a lot of massages, so you can get like the CBD option.
Yeah. And my daughter, when she was 7 months old, my youngest daughter, she's diagnosed with leukemia. And so, that turned our world upside down. And we had to immediately put her in the hospital for 7 months. She's going through 5 rounds of chemo. And I was like, and I read about the studies, like how CBD helped with the chemotherapy, the effectiveness of keep people alive during chemotherapy, as well as, just the cannabis can help keep your appetite up during chemotherapy, help keep you relaxed, help you sleep. So I had her, on daily doses of the full spectrum CBD tincture at 7 months on, and she still does. Okay, now, she's lucky, she's in transmission now, but, every night she gets that, helps her sleep. But I really think it really helped with the chemotherapy, helped her. She never lost any weight in the hospital. There's a very, very effective medicine for her during her fight with cancer. And I think, and adults really benefit from a full, like more of a THC infusion as well. But, that's another thing. That's that cancer, like, that's a huge industry right there. And when I'm in the hospital, I'm the one educating the doctor. Why am I educating the doctors? The nurses were fairly educated, but still I'm educating everybody there about CBD and how it's helping her. And there's a lot of resistance. Because people fear what they don't know is something different. They are taught about it in medical school. So
there's also a reason they're not taught about it in medical school.
Of course. Yeah, of course. Yeah. No, the whole Western medicine model, scientific model is just, it's created this world that's, falling apart.
And it's like,
where people are unhealthy, the planet's unhealthy.
Literally. And we don't think about it. We don't zoom out enough, because literally you just saying the whole Western world, like it's not only the US where cannabis is like a no-no, but like in other parts of the world, we can literally see how they use cannabis in order to enrich their lives, in order to, like, literally they pour into it, versus if we just, like, it's very much a US.
Well, so hemp, this situation, all this is grown in China, right? So the war on drugs didn't affect like Eastern Europe or Asia. So they kept growing hemp like they'd always had. And then China, they didn't know that hemp and marijuana were the same thing. You definitely smoking marijuana is illegal in China, it still is. But hemp growing, they have a huge hemp, and not a huge hemp industry, but certainly like they have a hemp industry, and that's where we brought all the product in from, and Eastern Europe from a smaller extent. But the law surrounding hemp, it was very unique, was that you could legally import a crop, but it was illegal to grow it. And the only,
The new.
so in the United States, it was illegal to grow hemp, but you could legally import the crop. And that happened when it was made legal in 1937. It was actually like the bird seed manufacturers came before Congress and were like, we need hemp seed in our bird food. And so they made an exemption for importing products from other countries. And that's the only place that exists in the world where you're legally allowed to import a crop that you're not legally allowed to grow. But now hemp is legal to grow hemp, not cannabis, but federally legal. Yeah. So at least that.
Yeah, at least, yeah. But we could never see that. We would never have the legalization of, we would never have the foundation of the hemp industry without.
We don't have, yes.
We would never have it without.
We have the federal legalization, but we need federal incentives.
Yeah. That's what
to promote it. And, I think they are like Kentucky, like they have a rich history of hemp growing. They know that. And I think they have tried to revive it. And there is, a hemp industry, but it's tiny compared to the cannabis industry.
Okay.
So we're getting there. Small steps, but heading in the right direction for the most part.
Yeah. Give it some more time. I don't know if we'll be here, but.
Yeah.
Jon, I want to say thank you so much for telling us all about hemp.
Thank you. Sorry, I rambled on so much.
We could go for hours if I didn't have a time. This would be like a Rogan style, like just hours and hours and hours. Can you tell people how they can contact you and buy all your things?
Yeah, QuincyCannabisCo.com, HempestDispensary.com, Hempest.com, VanGardenCannabis.com. Check it out.
Is that cool to say? Like these are all these things that these businesses you've created.
Yes. Yes. Over the years. Over the decades.
Yes. Yes. I'm here now. Okay. This is my last question, I promise, and I'll stop talking. Okay. So I created this platform so people could learn because I think knowledge is so important.
Yeah, that's right.
And I want to know from you, what is one thing that you wish more people knew? And this could be in regards to cannabis, hemp, anything, yourself, the world, doesn't matter. What is something that you wish more people knew?
How to grow weed. Just how to be themselves. How to know yourself.
Wait, is it
How to be aware of yourself. I think that's the most important thing for anybody, for all of us.
Self-awareness.
Is to know, self-awareness, to know yourself. If you don't know yourself, you're not going to know anything.
Mm-hmm. That takes work, though, getting to know yourself.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think it's an everyday thing. I think that's what life's all about.
On this journey, trying to figure out who you are.
Yeah.
What you stand for.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was good.
What you are. Yeah. That's what I'm saying from the beginning. Like, stop falsely identifying with your past conditioning. Crawl out of that box. Become what you really are.
That was good. When you said it the first time, it was good. And even the second time, it was good. Because we're so conditioned to like, this is my lens. My history made my lens. And it's like, your lens isn't real reality. Like, step
right. Just back. Yeah.
And just like,
take yourself.
That's hard, Jon. Come on.
Come on.
There's a story. Let me just tell you this quick one. Yeah. It's like one of those Zen things where the guy goes, ask the Zen master. He's like, how can I let go of my attachments? And the Zen master goes and he hugs the nearest tree and he says, how can I get this tree to let go of me?
Well, if you need it simplified, then that's perfect right there, literally. We do it to ourselves. Okay, I get it. I get it. Thank you for watching if you watched. Thank you for listening if you listened. You can catch Through with a Splash of Tea every Wednesday and Thursday on all streaming platforms and YouTube. Bye now.